We were so shocked to see the Queen go and open the Elizabeth line at Paddington Station, and that was a sign. This crisis won't die down until the irrefutable truth comes out.
So I think we're now seeing a different Harry.
And productive. I think he's having a lot of issues, I'm sure, doesn't know what to do with his life.
Oh my goodness, maybe she will be able to get through the Jubilee.
Harry and Meghan will be on Netflix forever. He can't get away from this. It will always be there.
A lot of people accuse Meghan of changing Harry, but do you think this is the real Harry?
No, I don't.
Like, why lie? It was just so truly bizarre. She had intentionally kept them out of the loop. She didn't want them to worry. This was so terrible. This was about...
In my opinion, she would still be a waitress if it wasn't for Dad.
Well, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out?
This is after her death. Burrell has insight about what happened in those very difficult hours where Meghan was uninvited. Burrell revealing that Harry had actually given the late Queen Elizabeth a secret mobile phone.
And there's a very big difference. It was deliberate. I'll tell you why. What she told the royal family, what she told Harry, wouldn't have jived, wouldn't have been consistent with the truth.
The way that his family treated him, because they were so disgusted that once the marriage ends, Harry will return to England to seek refuge. Well, what? Will he return without his children?
What if one tiny, almost invisible rule had the power to shake the royal world? At first glance, it sounds laughable. A simple dress code, a tradition passed down through decades. But when Meghan Markle pulled back the curtain and exposed what really went on behind the palace doors, Prince Harry was left more stunned than anyone expected.
If Harry's marriage were to flounder, which I believe may be inevitable, he will return to England to seek refuge.
Because this wasn't just about fashion. It wasn't about whether a royal outfit looked polished in front of the cameras. What Meghan revealed went much deeper. It was about control, about identity, about the quiet, suffocating restrictions that no one outside the royal circle ever really sees. Imagine walking into a new life that's been painted as a fairy tale. Cameras flashing, the world watching.
No, and I wouldn't be surprised again if it was not something that the Queen was made aware of. Harry and Meghan always want to do things their way. It's a very selfish approach, and in this particular situation, they should have stayed for the whole Platinum Jubilee.
History calling your name. And then, behind the scenes, you're told that even the smallest choices, from how you walk, to what you say, even to the shade of your tights, aren't yours to make anymore. That's the reality Meghan says she faced. And for Harry, hearing it laid out in black and white exposed something he'd grown up with but never truly questioned: the invisible chains of royal protocol. This one revelation isn't just a story about pantyhose or wardrobe etiquette. It's a crack in the glossy picture of royal life, a tiny symbol of a much bigger struggle between tradition and authenticity, duty and freedom, silence and truth. And once Meghan put it into words, Harry couldn't ignore what it meant. For Meghan, the shock came from how something as personal as clothing became a battlefield for control. She revealed that royal women were expected to wear nude pantyhose during official appearances, an unwritten rule that wasn't optional but treated as law. On the surface, it sounds harmless, even old-fashioned. But for Meghan, it symbolized something far more invasive. It wasn't about hosiery, it was about being told how to present herself in a way that stripped away her individuality. Even the color of her skin-tone stockings had to align with a tradition designed decades before she was even born. This tiny detail became a daily reminder that authenticity had no place in the palace. And as Meghan exposed this expectation publicly, Harry was forced to confront the uncomfortable truth. The family he loved and the institution he was raised in demanded conformity at every level, even in the smallest, most human choices. When Meghan first stepped into royal life, many believed she was about to live the ultimate fairy tale. To the outside world, she had it all: a prince by her side, global attention, and the chance to carve out a modern role within one of the oldest institutions in history. But behind the palace walls, the reality was far from magical. Meghan quickly discovered that the freedom she thought would come with her new status simply didn't exist. Royal schedules were mapped out months in advance, leaving little to no room for personal choice. Want to have lunch with friends on a whim? Not allowed. Want to wear an outfit that truly reflected her personality? Only if it fit within rigid centuries-old standards. This clash between expectation and reality became one of the hardest parts of her new life. Meghan, who built her career on authenticity, voice, and individuality, was suddenly being told to blend into the background of tradition. She expected the spotlight, but not the shackles. She imagined influence, but not silence. Even the idea of using her platform to speak openly on issues close to her heart was met with resistance, carefully filtered through what was acceptable for a duchess to say. For someone who had always been independent, this loss of autonomy was staggering. And for Harry, hearing Meghan speak so openly about how suffocating those rules felt was like holding up a mirror to the world he'd grown up in. What he had long accepted as normal now stood out as outdated, even cruel, when he saw it through her eyes. It wasn't just about tights or schedules anymore. It was about a system that left no room for individuality, no space for authenticity. And Harry was forced to reckon with the reality that the life he thought he was offering Meghan was not the fairy tale she or the public had imagined. Beyond the rigid rules and endless expectations, Meghan and Harry found themselves navigating a storm of rumors and relentless public scrutiny that tested their relationship like never before. Every appearance was dissected, every comment analyzed, and every choice became headline fodder for tabloids eager to paint the couple in a negative light. Meghan revealed that even small missteps, arriving a few minutes late, choosing the wrong outfit, or smiling too little, were magnified and twisted into stories that questioned their commitment to the family, the monarchy, and even to each other. The pressure wasn't just external. Within the palace, whispered judgments and subtle exclusions made it clear that the couple's presence was tolerated, but never fully welcomed. For Harry, watching the woman he loved endure this constant barrage of criticism was painful, frustrating, and eye-opening. It forced him to see the harsh reality that no amount of personal loyalty or affection could shield them from the weight of tradition, expectation, and media scrutiny. And for Meghan, the isolation was profound. She often described moments of feeling invisible, even in rooms filled with hundreds of people, where protocol and hierarchy overshadowed human connection. The combination of external rumors and internal pressures didn't just test their bond, it reshaped it, leaving Harry stunned at how quickly love and loyalty could collide with centuries of tradition and institutional control. As Meghan began to push back against the rigid expectations, her actions caught Harry off guard in ways he hadn't anticipated. From requesting to have a say in official engagements to speaking openly about causes she cared about, Meghan challenged traditions that had been followed for generations. For Harry, it was a mixture of admiration and shock. He respected her courage, but he also realized the stakes were higher than he'd imagined. Every bold move she made sent ripples through the palace hierarchy, forcing him to confront a reality he had long taken for granted. That loyalty to the family sometimes meant sacrificing your own voice. Meghan's willingness to question long-standing rules and expose inconsistencies wasn't just a personal statement, it was a catalyst that revealed cracks in the institution itself. And Harry, watching this unfold, felt a mix of awe and unease. He saw firsthand how the system could bend, resist, and even retaliate, and he was left stunned by how quickly the palace machinery could react to one person daring to defy it. It became clear to him that Meghan wasn't just challenging tradition for herself. She was holding up a mirror to the entire royal system, and Harry had to decide whether to follow, protect, or confront it, a choice that would define the rest of their lives. Meghan's bold moves didn't go unnoticed, and the fallout hit hard, not just for her but for Harry as well. The couple quickly became the center of a media storm, with every action scrutinized and every word interpreted as a rebellion against tradition. Paparazzi and tabloids painted Meghan as controlling, demanding, and even difficult, while Harry was depicted as torn between loyalty to his family and support for his wife. Social media amplified the scrutiny, with millions weighing in on their behavior, clothing choices, and parenting decisions. For Harry, the backlash was a shocking wake-up call. The very institution he had been born into had little tolerance for deviation, even when it came from someone he loved. Meghan's insistence on asserting her voice exposed the limits of royal acceptance, and Harry felt the pressure on multiple fronts, from family, media, and the public. Every interview, every public appearance, every carefully planned event became a potential minefield, and the couple faced criticism that often blurred fact and fiction. Yet, despite the relentless judgment, Meghan stood firm, and Harry was left to grapple with the realization that protecting her meant challenging not just external narratives, but the deep-seated expectations of his own family. The public backlash wasn't just a temporary inconvenience, it reshaped their lives, forced Harry to reconsider his role within the monarchy, and left him stunned at the harsh realities of loyalty, love, and the cost of speaking out. The tipping point came when Meghan revealed details that Harry had never fully processed: the hidden rules, the subtle exclusions, and the unspoken expectations that governed every corner of royal life. She exposed how certain family dynamics had quietly undermined him, how decisions were made without his input, and how even gestures meant to honor him were filtered through layers of protocol and obligation. For Harry, it was a moment of startling clarity. The life he had always known, the family he had grown up loving, was far more rigid and controlling than he had imagined. Meghan's revelations forced him to confront uncomfortable truths: that the palace wasn't just a home or a family, but an institution designed to maintain appearances at all costs, sometimes at the expense of personal happiness. He realized that loyalty to tradition often overshadowed empathy, and that even the smallest actions could be manipulated to enforce conformity. It wasn't just about Meghan's choices or the media frenzy, it was about recognizing the invisible chains that had shaped his entire life. And as the weight of this realization settled in, Harry found himself stunned, not in anger or resentment, but in awe of the courage it took for Meghan to speak the truth, and in a profound understanding that protecting their family, their freedom, and their voice would require choices that might forever change the course of his life. In the end, Meghan's revelations didn't just shake Harry, they shook the entire perception of royal life. What seemed like small rules, hidden protocols, or family tensions were actually pieces of a much larger puzzle, revealing an institution that demands perfection while leaving little room for humanity. For Harry, the experience was eye-opening, a mixture of admiration, shock, and a profound understanding of the sacrifices required to balance love, duty, and individuality. Meghan's courage to speak out forced him to reevaluate not only his role within the family, but the choices he wanted to make for his own life and his children's future. It became clear that navigating royal life wasn't just about following tradition. It was about knowing when to push back, when to protect what matters, and when to redefine what family truly means. And as viewers, we're left with a striking lesson. Behind every public image lies a private story, often more complex, more challenging, and more human than anyone could imagine. Harry was stunned, yes, but the real shock is how the truth can change everything, reshaping lives and rewriting history, one revelation at a time.